Hello everyone, Dr. Phil here. This is going to be a video on the American Society, Families and Households. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So let's start by talking about the nature and influence of American households. So the household influences most consumption decisions, obviously depending on who's in the household, right? Like who makes up the house? Is it just an individual? Is it a married couple? Is it a family with kids? Are there any other relatives, maybe grandparents, living in the house, for example? So we have the structure of the household unit, we have the stage of household life cycle, and we have the household decision process, all of which factor into the household purchase and consumption behavior, right? So again, who's in the house? What are their preferences? Think about the life cycle. Like, do you have young kids? Are they college age? Have they already moved out? Maybe like they call that empty nesters, by the way. And all that's going to determine the marketing strategy. So as far as the types of households go, the household consists of all the people who occupy a housing unit. That could be a house, an apartment, group of rooms, or a single room designed to be occupied as separate living quarters. The family household is one having at least two members related by birth, marriage, or adoption, one of whom is the householder, and the householder, of course, owns or perhaps rents the residence. Non-family household could be defined as a householder living alone or exclusively with others to whom he or she is not related. Now, the traditional family refers to a married, opposite sex couple and their own or adopted children living at home. A stepfamily is a married couple family household with at least one child under the age of 18 who is a stepchild, i.e., a son or a daughter through marriage. Now, clearly, as American households and families move away from the traditional family model, marketers have to be aware of this and they have to adapt. This Campbell's Soup ad is attempting to appeal to the needs of different family members and the different household types in which they reside. For example, one family member may enjoy the soup in its classic form to accompany, perhaps, say, a grilled cheese sandwich, whereas another member may want to spice up the soup and make it a taco in a bowl. Recognizing and adapting to the differing needs of various types of families or the different needs of members within the same family can be, for marketers, a critical success factor. Now, here we see the traditional view of the family life cycle. So, the first thing we start with people married by their early 20s. The couple had several children. The children grew up and started their own families. The original couple retired. The male would eventually die. And then a few years later, the female would die. Now, American households follow much more complex and varied cycles today. Therefore, researchers have developed several models of the household life cycle, abbreviated HLC. Each HLC stage presents unique needs and wants, as well as financial conditions and experiences. HLC provides marketers with relatively homogeneous household segments that share similar needs with respect to the household related problems and purchases. Now, with respect to applications in consumer behavior, young singles are active and often have significant discretionary income. They are a prime market for higher quality apartments, sports cars, clothing, travel, and similar activities. Now, one caveat I'll add there is they may be a prime market for things like apartments, fancy cars, but one of the problems that the younger generations have is they're not really building their own wealth, right? They're living in fancy apartments, they're driving fancy cars, they're probably in debt up to their eyeballs. A lot of it's done to impress other people, and they're not really building their own equity. They're not really building their own net worth. So that is a notable problem, shall we say? Now, this Toyota ad we see on the right with the caption "Don't just go together and get the most out of every day or night," would appeal to their desire for action and socializing. Now, with respect to the household life cycle, for empty nest on consumers, both those who never had children and those whose children are grown, the absence of responsibilities for children creates more free time than they have enjoyed since their youth. They also have money to spend on dining out, expensive vacations, second homes, and luxury cars. This Holland America ad would appeal to empty nest one consumers. They have the resources to afford to quote unquote sail in classic style to Barcelona or one of the cruise line's 425 ports of call worldwide and would welcome the relaxation and escape it promises. Now, as consumers mature, their financial situation, free time, and physical and social needs tend to change. The younger members of Empty Nest 2 are healthy, active, and often have become financially well off. They have ample time. There are a big market for RVs, recreational vehicles, cruises, and second homes. This Go RVing ad that we see here to the right would appeal to active members of the Empty Nest 2 segment, who also have the time and finances to go on a real vacation to the mountains, if they so desire. Now, factors such as income, occupation, and education heavily influence how an individual meets their needs, right? So it makes sense to combine stages in the HLC with one of these variables to aid in market segmentation and strategy formulation, right? At the end of the day, there's no reason to market to people that don't have the money. Maybe they'll have the money in the future. Maybe they've already had it and it's since gone, right? So it's not just about it's about finding the target market, but it's also, timing is of the essence, shall we say. And with regard to family decision making is the process by which decisions that directly or indirectly involve two or more family members are made. Family purchases are often compared to organizational buying decisions. However, with family purchasing, there's usually less explicit criteria, and most family purchases directly affect the other members of the family. So, for example, the husband buys something, it probably will affect the wife, and vice versa. Most important, many family purchases are inherently emotional. Think about a car, for example, or a house, and affect the relationships between the family members. So, in regard to another purview of family decision making, let's talk about determinants of family purchase roles. So, how families interact in a purchase decision is largely dependent on the following things: culture and subculture in which the family exists, the role specialization of different family members, the degree of involvement each has in the product area of concern, and finally, personal characteristics of the family members. Now, one study revealed 6 basic approaches that individuals use to resolve purchase conflicts. The first approach is bargaining, in that they're trying to reach a compromise. The second approach is impression management, which is typically misrepresenting the facts in order to win. They may use authority, for example, claiming superior expertise or role appropriateness, i.e., the husband and wife should make such decisions. Reasoning, using logical arguments to win. Playing on emotion, using the silent treatment or withdrawing from the discussion. And then additional information, getting additional data or a third party opinion, which is almost always a good idea. Now, with regard to consumer socialization, the family provides the basic framework in which consumer socialization occurs. Consumer socialization is a process by which young people acquire skills, knowledge, and attitudes relevant to their functioning as consumers in the marketplace. Understanding the content and the process of consumer socialization. Consumer socialization content refers to what children learn with respect to consumption. And the consumer socialization process refers to how do they learn that. So the content of consumer socialization is typically refined down to the 3 categories. Number 1 is consumer skills. Are those capabilities necessary for purchases to occur, such as understanding money, budgeting, product evaluation, etc.? Number 2 is consumption-related preferences. Are the knowledge, attitudes, and values that cause people to attach different evaluations to products, brands, and retail outlets? And number 3, consumption-related attitudes. These are cognitive and affective orientations toward marketplace stimuli, such as advertisements, salespeople, warranties, etc. And the process of consumer socialization. So consumer socialization occurs primarily through family as well as through a number of avenues, including advertising and friends. Parents socialize their children through the following. Number 1, instrumental training. This occurs when a parent or sibling specifically and directly attempts to bring about certain responses through reasoning or reinforcement. Number 2, modeling. This occurs when a child learns appropriate or inappropriate consumption behaviors by observing others. And 3, mediation. This occurs when a parent alters a child's initial interpretation of or response to a marketing or other stimulus. Now, instrumental training occurs when a parent or sibling specifically and directly attempts to bring about certain responses through reasoning or reinforcement. Now, parents often worry that marketing messages will simply drown out any instrumental training they try to provide. Capital One clearly recognizes that it can be a partner with parents in the socialization process, such as helping their children learn financial responsibility with a savings account and having fun in the process. All right, that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all very soon. Take care.